Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up. A fellow at a seminar asked me, how can I let more love in from my girlfriend? I told him, it's not so much about letting love in from your girlfriend as letting love out from you. So today I want to talk to you about the vanity or the unnecessariness of importing good from the outside world versus allowing the inner splendor to come forth. Course in Miracles tells us in any situation in which you perceive that something is missing, what is missing is what you're not giving. Now, the ego doesn't want to hear that because the ego's whole world, the whole belief system is based on the idea that I am lacking, I am empty, there's some kind of gap or need in me. And if I can just import my good from the outer world, through a person, through a house, through money, through a possession, through a job, if I can just bring it in, I will be filled. But the flaw in that belief is that you're basing it on a lie because you're assuming there's something empty about you, something wrong with you, something missing. And if you can just get something to fill it, you'd be okay. But any action that is based on a lie or an illusion will only beget more lies and illusions. So we have to trace this whole dynamic back to the root of the original error, not the original sin, but the original error of believing that there's something empty in me, and if I can just fill it in, I will be okay. The word holiness is the same thing as wholeness. And the Course in Miracles also tells us that those who know that they are whole make no demands. Let me repeat that. Those who know that they are whole make no demands. And you can gauge your sense of emptiness, sense of lack or need, by how much you're demanding. The more you're demanding from the outer world, the emptier you feel inside. And if you've ever tried to fill yourself up by demanding, there's no end to it because as soon as one demand gets fulfilled, there's more. So once again, we have to trace it back to the root. Thoreau said, for every 1,000 people hacking at the branches of evil, there's one striking at the root. Meaning for everybody who's trying to get stuff out there, there's one who's trying to get stuff from in here. It's the only way out. The only way out. Now, if you've ever tried to fulfill yourself with another person, you know that doesn't work. And A Course in Miracles talks about what it calls special relationships and holy relationships. I actually have a whole YouTube on this. Search my channel for holy relationships and special relationships. I go into great detail on it. But for now, we'll say that a special relationship is one in which you feel that one particular person, or it could be a job or a house or a car or a place to live, that special thing will be the answer to your emptiness. And if you could just get that special thing, everything would be okay. And you can get it, everything seems okay for a while, but because you were proceeding from an illusion, the illusion will rear its head once again. So you're just rearranging chairs on the deck of a sinking ship, so to speak. A holy relationship is one in which you bring wholeness to it. And you're not looking for somebody to make you whole, which never works, but you are acknowledging your already wholeness and proceeding from that. And when you're coming from wholeness, you attract whole people. If you're coming from emptiness, you're going to attract an empty person. If you're coming from lack, you're going to attract a lackful person. If you're coming from loneliness, you're going to attract a lonely person. And I can just imagine a lot of you shaking your heads and, man, I've been there, done that. We've all done it, but we're all learning better now, are we not? Now let's revisit for another moment how the ego actually works. The ego is the small sense of self that is false, unlimited, and an illusion, basically. And the ego is the getting mechanism. You can substitute ego with get, and it's the same idea. So the ego says, let me find somebody to make me okay, and then I'll be okay. So let me get something, and the more stuff you need to get, actually, the emptier you feel. In fact, some people have lots of stuff, some very, very wealthy people with lots of cars and possessions and homes and prestige. They are sometimes among the emptiest because they have lots of stuff, but they still feel empty. Now, I'm not saying you can't have stuff. If you have stuff and you enjoy it and you like it and it works, that's just fine. But when you're proceeding from let me collect more stuff, let me import more stuff, let me add more notches to my belt, so to speak, then forget it, because you're just going to keep digging a deeper hole. And I've said sometimes before that a rut is simply a grave with the ends knocked out. So the more stuff you need to get, the deeper your rut becomes. Now, there's a parable about a time when the earth had just been formed, and the gods, I think it's a Hindu or a Greek parable, were sitting around and trying to decide how to make life an adventure for people. They were about to place people on the planet. They said, where should we hide the secret of life so that it's a good challenge for people to find it? One guy said, well, let's put it at the highest mountain. And another guy said, no. They'll invent helicopters and airplanes, and they'll climb to Everest, and they'll find it. Another guy said, well, let's put it at the bottom of the ocean. No, they'll find submarines, and they'll get it. It's not a hard task. They went round and round and round, trying to find some place to hide the meaning and value and beauty of life so that people have a hard time finding it. Finally, one God said, let's hide the secret of life inside each person. They'll never think to look there. And it's true. It's only when we've exhausted all of our outer efforts that we're willing to look within. One philosopher said that man's extremity, people's extremity, is God's opportunity, which means that it's only when you're at the end of your human rope that you're willing to take hold of the divine rope, so to speak. And the human rope always says, let me get the next person, let me get the next thing. And the divine rope says, you're whole. In fact, I know one Course in Miracles teacher said, I have no needs. And if you're having an argument in a relationship, you're probably arguing, well, I have needs. Well, Course in Miracles says you don't really have any needs. Maybe on a human level you have, but on a divine level, you don't. So what if we began to experience a profound identity shift from someone who has holes in them that need to be plugged in? Some people feel like a black hole that there's never nothing can plug in with, to somebody who is an effulgent light. You know, what kind of needs does the sun have? The sun just shines. And the Persian poet Hafiz said something like this in paraphrasing. He said, the sun never asks for anything in return. It just says, let me shine and bless everybody on the earth. Bless the growing plants and animals, and all living things come from sunlight. And sunlight never asks anything in return. It just loves to shine. So what if you redefined yourself from a seeker to a finder, from a needer to a haver, from a wanter to a beer, B-E, not beer, but B-E-R. And so this is a poignant time in life for a lot of us, isn't it? A lot of us have been challenged with health issues or divorces or financial setbacks or job losses. And we say, now what? Who am I? What's next? And the answer is to go within. The answer is not to get any more from that. The answer is to give it from within. And the people say, well, how can I find my right job? And I say, well, what would you love to do? What would you want to wake up in the morning and share and express yourself? And I say, when you start coming from inside, expressing out, instead of looking from outside to import in, that's going to be the critical shift in your life. And I know many people who've done their photography or their art or their teaching or their training, and they just love to do it because they're coming from a sense of an overflow. It's not about what can I get, it's about what can I give, and in the giving is the receiving. St. Francis said, in the giving, St. Francis said that in the giving is the receiving. And so, can we get over get? And when you give, the gift has to go through you to get to the world or the other person. And I teach my coaches in training that when you do coaching properly, you receive as much of a blessing and a healing as your client, because the kindness and the compassion and the listening and the support and the validation that you are giving to your client has to flow through you to get to the client. So you are being blessed as you're giving blessing. Course in Miracles also tells us, when I am healed, I am not healed alone, meaning that the healing is mutual. When you step into your wholeness, then you automatically overflow to others and you invite them to find their wholeness. Many years ago, there was a coffee commercial, and it showed a group of people kind of in robes wandering around this room looking for something. They were looking for coffee. And then a light came on, and the announcer said, "Greetings, pilgrim. Your search is ended." When they found the coffee, yeah. But there's more to life than coffee. And we're all on a search for something, and it's not something outside of us. We will never, ever, 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 ever be fulfilled by trying to get more stuff or trying to find someone to make you whole. The only healing is when you recognize, when you self-realize the wholeness that you already are. And as I look back on these YouTubes I've done for quite a while now, one of the most popular ones was entitled "Quit Working on Yourself." You can go find that if you like. The idea being that this idea that there's just something next I have to do in order to really be there. And today we want to translate the concept into there's just something else I need to get in order to be there. One of my books is called Enough Already, which means that we claim enough-ness right where we stand. We don't wait till we get to soulmate. We don't wait till we get the baby. We don't wait till we lose the 20 pounds. We don't wait till we have the reconstructive surgery or the cosmetic surgery. That's all that stuff is fine to do. But don't let it be a carrot dangling way out in front of you and you create a gap between where you are and where it is before it can be happy. Claim happiness now. If you don't have it now, you're not going to get it then, unless you decide to get it now, when then becomes now. Did you follow that? In other words, the wholeness is only in the enoughness from inside out now. So we can cross out the get, cross out the gap, and come into be. There's an old paradigm, it's called the be, do, have paradigm. And it says that the ego's model is that if I have something, I will do it, and then I will be it. In other words, when I get this thing, I will be the thing that I think this thing will bring me. Well, the Spirit reverses that. It says if I be it, if I be what I want to be now, then I will do what I need to do from my beingness. And from my beingness, I will attract everything I need and I will have. So reversing the having and being paradigm, instead of having to have before you can be, we're saying that when you be, you will have. So sit with that for a while. Okay, before we close, I just want to remind you that I have 3 programs coming up, really exciting programs. One is actually starting today. We have one last minute opening. Somebody had to shift to another time frame. So if you'd like to become a life coach, a holistic life coach, this is a program that will put you over the top, promise you. 6 months, intensive, deep, intimate, powerful, fabulous peer group. Go to my website, alancohen.com. You'll find the opening for that. We're starting a program at the end of this month called Friends in High Places. It's an 8-week webinar series that will take us into interdimensional communication, working with guides, mediums, channeling, psychic capacities, and really elevating all of these forms of spiritual communication to the highest level. It's going to be a really hot series. So sign up. There's a discount too if you sign up now. And then finally in December, I'm doing a fabulous retreat for 4 days in California with my dear friend and soul sister, Karen Drucker, an amazing musician. If you'd like to be together for 4 days with me and Karen, a fabulous group of people, show up. We're filling up now. So if you want to join us, go to my website, alancohen.com, and please sign in. So we always like to close with a moment of intention. If you'd like to close your eyes for a moment with me, take a deep breath. And now we'll speak the word for all of us. If you care to repeat these words in your mind or out loud, please do so. I know that I'm enough right now. My true joy proceeds from letting that which is within me come forth. So now I release any sense of lack or emptiness or gap or need. I get over the game of attempting to import my good. And I drop inside for all the good I've ever looked for. Everything I've ever searched for is now inside me. I now shift my identity from a seeker to a finder. Finally, I am finding myself, and I'm finding it right here. Thank you, Great Spirit, for releasing me from this need treadmill, from this illusion of import. Everything I've ever looked for lives within me as me. And while I've been waiting for something from outside to happen, now I claim something inside is happening. I am gelling, I am stirring, I am quickening. And everything I've ever looked for, I claim as myself now. I will now live from overflow, and I will bless everybody in my life by shining as my true self. That's everything I came to do. And as Jesus said, when you find the kingdom of heaven within you, everything in the outside world shall be added. If you care to say with me out loud, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you so much for coming.